You cannot say that we have been doing what we were sent here to do. You cannot be saying that we've been listening to the parents who have been calling and texting and pleading for us to wake up. We have failed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, and thank you, members. I will, I think, be brief. First, Representative Pico, you kind of called me out in the well, and so I just want to say, what was being said was nothing about any one individual. It was about a culture of the past, and that culture of the past is not reflected in 1317, and is certainly not a place that we all want to go back to. So I'm sorry that you took it personally. I did not hear anything directed to any individual, but I'm happy to have a conversation with you further if you would like to discuss that off of the floor. I want to thank my colleagues for all their comments today. I want to make sure that we're speaking to what's in House Bill 1317, because a lot of what we heard isn't in House Bill 1317. The most important thing, I think, members, for you to realize is that we talked a lot about the General Assembly's responsibility to make sure that we're regulating this space safely. In 2015, when I stood in this well and talked about the fact that I didn't think we were doing enough to regulate and to pay attention to products that had been created because of legalization, I just want everyone to know where the market stood at that point. When I walked into my neighborhood dispensary, because of the discussions that we were having here in the General Assembly with the marijuana sunset bill, you could purchase marijuana concentrate, and on that product, there was no label that identified the percentage of THC in that product. So I could purchase a product that had an 85 THC potency level, and the legislature did not require the dispensary to put that percentage on the label of the product. Colorado has been at the forefront of legalization. That means that we are on the forefront of being responsible when it comes to regulating the products that come out of legalization. This body has not done enough to make sure that we aren't creating a gray market on our high school campuses that is not the THC potency flower product that we all grew up with. And remember, that product goes from a THC potency of 0 to about 35% on average, okay? 35 is about the cap. We are talking about products that range from 50 to 99.9%, okay? You cannot say this body has done what we were supposed to do if in this bill we are closing a loophole that allows an 18-year-old to go and buy 400 doses of high-potency marijuana in one stop. You cannot say that we have been doing what we were sent here to do. You cannot be saying that we've been listening to the parents who have been calling and texting and pleading for us to wake up. We have failed. To say that 1317 isn't good enough means that the way this building, in my opinion, should work, bringing everyone together, having 300 hours of conversations, listening to all sides, getting to a place where we can close loopholes, move forward, and create a study to make sure that we understand as policymakers the impact on the developing brain and on mental health and the impact that these products have on it. To say that this isn't what we should be doing, we have not done enough. 1317 is a balanced, well-crafted step forward. And there's so many people to thank for getting us to this point. But if you can go and buy 400 doses of this product at every single dispensary that you can possibly get to in one single day, we, as a body, have not done enough. Now, I have a story here that I will share very briefly, and it came from testimony from an 18-year-old in committee.
Wax, shatter, dabs, marijuana concentrates have had effects on me that I never thought just weed would have. When I first started using marijuana concentrates, I experienced extreme paranoia and panic attacks due to my lack of understanding of dosage and the high concentration of THC. This was something that I had to learn through trial and error. Not to mention the systems used to consume these concentrates, rigs, dab pens, torches, and all those mechanisms were new to me. Even as someone who had been using drugs for 2 years, these THC delivery systems are not only dangerous to use by themselves, but kids are trying to use these tools with little or no understanding of how these mechanisms work. I've experienced third-degree burns from taking or from trying to take these dabs alone. The impact, and there's some, well, I'll go on. There was a night when I got home from taking dabs with my friends all night, and my mom noticed how high I was. She believed that I had taken Xanax or pills, something more dangerous than marijuana. When I told her, no, that I had just done weed, she looked at me and said, no, weed does not do this to a person. I tried explaining to her that what I meant by weed was marijuana concentrates or wax, and she still didn't believe that was the only thing I had consumed that night. She was convinced I was overdosing on Xanax and proceeded to stay up the whole night to ensure I was still alive. The impact of THC concentrates on my mental health has been severe. I've gone into psychosis a countless number of times. Most of these times I was unaware that I was in psychosis, and other people would have to tell me what had happened. I was experiencing things that made no sense, but to me, I didn't understand that it didn't make sense. I believe that the rules of the world did not apply to me. I've had 4 suicide attempts, and luckily I have survived each one. I've also experienced homicidal thoughts. While I've never had this experience, I've seen friends experience seizures after dabbing. I've always been told that these concentrates were just weed, but the effects felt like so much more than just weed. That's why I'm in support of House Bill 1317. Thank you. We are trying to avoid experiences like this. MED, the Department of Revenue, should make sure that we understand what a serving size is of concentrates. The way that we, as a General Assembly, to help this has nothing to do with criminalization of marijuana. I don't support that. I would never support that. I don't support further criminalization of marijuana. What I support is making sure that we all understand where this market has gone, how this market has expanded. And I told many of you on second reading yesterday that the market is split into thirds, and the market that has expanded the most is marijuana concentrates. I just want to make sure that if there is an impact on the developing brain, that we have public health research to help inform us make good decisions in the future. We have waited too long to get to this point. We have waited too long to close the loopholes that have allowed 18-year-olds to go and buy 400 doses at a time. This is a very, very well-crafted, straightforward bill. I actually want to thank the industry for sitting with us for hours and hours and hours to craft this. I can't imagine that the industry wants people, consumers, having this experience. I know that they don't. We have to make sure that we're doing better. This is the next step in us protecting our kids, eliminating the gray market that has expanded onto our high school campuses, and making sure that we do it putting public health first. Not going back in time, no one's talking about that, but we're talking about putting public health at the forefront of how we make decisions. I urge and I vote on House Bill 1317.